In Session with Jael Care, the space where healing hearts connect. Welcome to another episode of In Session with Jael Care. This is the space where healing hearts connect. I am so grateful for you coming back episode after another. Karibuni sana. Today's episode feels different. It feels tender. A friend of mine asked me if I'm going to be those people who talks about their lives on their podcast, and then I said no when I began In Session, and here I am, proving myself to be one of those people. So it's not going to be about just mental health. It's also about life and death and all the quiet, messy, beautiful in-betweens. So as I sit here today, I realize that, of course, I've been very aware that it's going to 1 year since when I had an accident. And again, I talk to my friends a lot. I was telling a different friend that as I am in my life right now, I view life in before the accident and after the accident. That's how I view my life. That's how significant it was. Because I could have died, but I didn't. I survived, and I'm not in the barely holding on stage of survival because I hit rock bottom in every way. I had all the losses that I didn't think I could have endured. And here I am. I bounced back. And this just reminds me of how children are on a bouncing castle and then they're down and they bounce back up, they're down and bounce back up. And I feel like when they bounce back up, there's always that laughter and lightness that they bounce with. And I think that I am in that space. I am in the space of laughing and laughter, and I just feel lifted and light. So today I want to take you with me on this journey through the pain, the people, the healing, and the peace that has followed me since then. So what's my hope with this conversation? It's to remind you that no matter how dark it gets, restoration is possible. So let's get right into it. The morning of July 24th, 2024. It felt ordinary, of course. At the time, I was hosting a radio show on KBC. So I had a recording later in the day. So I got up early, got ready. I had other appointments. I had another appointment to do my hair. I had an appointment to go and have a skin analysis. Yeah, I had a list of things I needed to achieve. Here's the deal. I hate going to town. So when I must go to town, I ensure that I pile everything that I'm intending to do on that said date, and I make sure I do all the things. So yeah, it was an ordinary day, left the house as I was going to cross the road. Yep, it happened. I don't know how. I don't know from where. I had people explain to me what exactly happened afterwards. And the truth is, there's something really haunting about how normal life feels before everything changes. I remember the moment of impact. And truthfully, it's really hard to describe. It's like you're there, you're not. It's like this confusion. And then there's a flood of sensations. Like every part of your body is just feeling something, processing something, pain, fear. It's a lot. I really am yet to find words to describe how that moment of impact is. And before I would meet people who've gone through accidents and I would tell them, I'm so sorry. But I think me going through this unlocked a new level of empathy for people who've been through accidents. And it's just a lot. And then there was silence. And then people were around me. So what happened is I was going to cross, and then a motorcycle, a speeding motorbike that was coming from the wrong side, hit me and then dragged me on the road. Yeah, for a distance. it was it was crazy. But then the silence before I started being aware that people are around me, it was crazy. Psychologists say a near-death experience often leads to a phenomenon called mortality salience. This is the heightened awareness of your own fragility, and with it comes a sharp clarity about what really matters. And I feel like that is where I am right now. I am so clear on what matters to me. I'm so clear on the relationships that I am pouring into. I'm so clear on what I want to do. I have this clarity that there are things that don't really matter to me anymore. And on that day, I can say now I brushed shoulders with death. And for sure, it changed my lens of life forever. So, of course, after the impact, people were there. People were asking me for a contact of someone who is my person who could come. And I thought, all the other details. I gave my sister's number, but turns out I was so confused. I gave my own number. And then I gave my mom's number. And my mom is so far away, but yeah, she's the one person I knew. She always has her phone somewhere near her. So they called her. But before that, goodness, listen, I am a person of faith. And now my faith, it didn't just increase or grew. It also affirmed the belief that I had before. And God has a way of just ensuring that He provides people in the right space at the right time to come and rescue you. When we say angels walking on 2 feet on earth, this is what happened. So while I was still lying there, bleeding, everything, this guy comes and I hear, because I had closed my eyes at the time. I don't know if it's reflex or whatever. I was in so much pain. This guy comes and then he asks someone to help him carry me to his car so that he can take me to hospital. And he asked when I got to the car, because people were around, so he told the others to just move aside. Then they helped me into his car. And when we were in the car, I think is when I was fully aware now. And then he was asking, where do we take her to hospital? And I just told him the hospital that I normally go to. And when my thought was at the time, at least it was coming to my consciousness. My thought was, if it's one of those good Samaritans who will take you to hospital and leave you there, at least if I just say my first name and they say my name is in the system, they will trace whoever needs to be traced so that I can be helped because they have my details. So he took me there and he stayed with me. I was like, you can go now. I am here. But our hospitals being our hospitals, the medics weren't as quick, and he really went and pressed on them to ensure that I got the help I needed. I have told him so many times, and every time we call him on phone, I normally tell him that for as long as I'm alive, his children will have free therapy with me whenever they need it. But of course, there's the dual relationship of some sort. But I will always refer them to someone, or I will give perspectives that will help them navigate whatever life challenges they're going through. Point being, I am indebted to him. He showed up in a way that I don't think I would have myself. At the time, it has challenged me now. So when I see someone in crisis, but sometimes it's so tricky, especially in this country of ours, because you may want to help someone, but then it might be turned on you and then you end up in trouble. Because he was saying him taking me to hospital, some people might just turn and say he's the one who caused the accident. That's why he feels guilty and he's taken me to hospital. So that also happens apparently. But I feel like he allowed himself to be used of God because he had things he needed to do. He was actually not supposed to be there, but he was. He had the impact. He would have decided not to move or try and do anything, but he did. And so all these things just shows you as to how God can just show up for you. And then, of course, I went to hospital, then referred to another hospital, did a couple of scans, turned out I needed to do surgery and follow up, healing processes and stuff. There's something called collective resilience. Collective resilience is when community becomes the safety net that carries you when your own strength fails. And I think when I was in hospital, my own strength failed. I had so many moments of crying, so many moments of feeling bad about my life, so many moments of questioning why I couldn't be able to just do some things by myself. And then so I needed to do surgery, and I had follow-up medical care and all the needs that follow, going to hospital every so often just to ensure that you heal well. And 41 people came, 41 people. They didn't come physically, but 41 people gave of their life and their substance to ensure that I had the money I needed to go through the surgeries and to pay my hospital bills and to have enough to cover me on the days to come and to just make sure that my healing journey was easier. And I still have the list of 41 of those 41 people. Oh God. I still have the list of the 41 people, and I pray for them. I pray for them because they didn't have to, but they chose to. And that is how collective resilience was shown to me in that space. I've always been a people's person. So like so many people know me. But I always wondered, the way celebrities say when their status and fame and money was stripped off, they were left alone and they had very few calls. I was so affirmed that my life has so many people around me that care for me, that matter, that people cannot let me drown when they can see. And I will never forget that. That's why I say, now I view my life on the before and after lens. I will never forget that. Love for me took on a new shape. It became practical, it became sacrificial, it became present. My friendships were redefined. And that really just reminded me that healing isn't a solo project. My spiritual father, Prophet Fred Akama, he said to me one time that your life is not just yours, it's for you and everyone who cares for you. In that time, I realized that he was right. Of course, I knew he was right, but it became more tangible to me. And of course, healing isn't always linear. And the good days and devastating days after the surgery, I had to stay with pipes for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. Most difficult time of my life. Couldn't talk really well, couldn't smile. I had no taste for food. I was eating, but it felt like there's no taste, nothing. And I hear people who had really bad COVID experience this as well. But I found some unexpected calm in the midst of the chaos, which is truly a gift. And of course, there's PTSD. I still struggle with crossing roads sometimes. And when I can, I get people to cross with me. And I'm so grateful for my friends. But it's strange how our bodies hold on to trauma even after our minds tries to move on, which just reminds me about the book by Basil, which says the body keeps the score. So your mind might be fully okay, but your body remembers. So I am super aware of my surrounding when I'm outside, and especially when I'm walking. It's like I need to know which motorbike is coming from which side. I need to have the road almost clear before I cross. But that is such a small piece, because in as much as it still shakes me a bit, I am slowly and gently returning to myself. And I found peace. I think this is the best thing that happened after the accident. Not the old joy, but a deeper, steadier one. The calm and peace. For those who don't know, I have previously been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. So my anxiety has always been really bad. Gone through all the 9 yards of, anxiety and just being heightened in situations with worries, with overthinking. That's why I say it's the before and after of the accident. That's how I view my life, because the person who I am today is not the person who was there last year. I know the healing was tough, but the way I am right now, I don't want to go through another accident. But the way the Lord has restored and made me whole, I would not trade this for anything. I have a peace and a calm. And this is not to say that my life has not been shaky since then. It has, in interesting ways. But I have been so grounded. I experience an inner joy that I can't even explain. The peace that the Bible says surpasseth all understanding. That's where I am. Because things are happening and people are shifting things and just telling me all this information. And yet I am still grounded and still feel so safe. So 1 year later, here I am, whole, restored. Not because life went back to normal, but because I let it evolve into something richer. And not just me letting it evolve, but the Lord just ensuring that I become the best version I could ever be from that space. And maybe you've seen it in your life too, in moments where you've gone through something really difficult. And then afterwards, you have a resilience, you have a strength, you have a renewed will to live on life that you didn't have before. This is what we called post-traumatic growth. This is the idea that after deep suffering, some of us experience profound transformation, a renewed appreciation for life, deeper relationships, and greater inner strength. That's called post-traumatic growth. You've gone through something traumatic, but you have gone through it. And on the other side, you are more evolved and more transformed, and you have an appreciation that you didn't have before. I've felt it all. Peace, calm, joy. I feel I am the most grounded I have ever been my whole freaking life. And I have gratitude for every second. And I know this is, in many ways, a second chance to live a fulfilling life. And I have not been messing that up. I hope I haven't. So if you're listening to this and you're in your own journey, in your own valley, maybe not from an accident, but from a heartbreak, a loss, life-altering change, I want you to know, one, you're allowed to crumble. Ooh. The day I went to meet the surgeon who did the surgery, and then he told me I had very limited time to ensure that I had the surgery. Oh my goodness, I cried. I cried. And really, between 2023 and when the accident happened, I had gone through so many losses, like significant losses, that I had cried enough. But I cried. So you're allowed to crumble and you're allowed to be carried. I have a hard time asking for help. But when I did and people showed up for me, I was like, oh my goodness. So I can ask for help and I can trust that my community will show up. So I was carried. So you are allowed to be carried too. And you're capable of bouncing back. Not the same, because sometimes we want to be the same as we were before, but in a whole new way, which may be more beneficial to you in the new season that you will embark on as opposed to who you were before. And restoration is not a destination, it's a journey. And every small step counts. There are moments where I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that was a long time ago. There's some things I should be done. I should be over with, especially with the interacting with people outside. But it's not a destination. I just have to extend grace to myself and face each day as they come. So yeah, I just thought I could immortalize this by sharing this with you. And I really, really am grateful for you holding space for my story today. It's not just another day that on this day a year ago something happened. It's a reminder for us all that life is fragile, yes, but it's also beautiful and it's also resilient. This is In Session with Gel Care, the space where healing hearts connect. And as always, if there's any part of this episode that resonated with you or you felt it deeply, please share it with your friend or with someone whom you think they need to be reminded that it's okay to fall apart and it's okay to rise again. Until next time, take care of your precious heart. This has been In Session with Gile Care. In Session with Gile Care, the space where healing hearts connect.